Not yet. We're close. Oh, there
Welcome
we are.
back,
Hey,
everybody.
there it is. There it is.
We are back. How's everybody doing?
Oh, I'm good. I'm gonna get the energy, man. I had a pick me up. We'll call it that. Right before the show.
All
Atta
right.
bed.
Was that
Nice.
a big line of blow or what?
No, unfortunately, this came in a
And-
liquid
Don't do
variety.
drugs.
This
Don't
came
do
in a
drugs,
liquid
kids.
variety.
Drugs
Well,
are bad.
I just
Drugs are
watched
bad.
the Abbott Elementary, so we need what's the DARE program they call it? What?
Damn.
I just
Not damn.
no.
shoot, I just watched it last night too, idiot. It was like a DARE program, you know the boyfriend that dances and does his anti-drug talk. Don't do fade.
It's fade. Yeah.
Fade. Yeah, don't do drugs, kids. I was just kidding. Vince, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. Yeah. Just living the life. I don't know.
Living the life.
Yeah.
Nice
Yeah.
Warriors hat.
Yep. Thank you. This is from the championship in
Yeah.
2022. See the championship patch on the side right there.
Still repping that after a 50 point blowout.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Speaking of blow,
Brave.
Yeah. Dude. Jeez.
Speaking of blow, the Golden State Warriors really blew it against the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, they definitely crapped the bed there on that one. It's a 52-point L that they took. And that's that. I mean, I think Steve said it after the game. It's like that's when you just wad it up and throw it away.
I got a tinfoil hat for that one, man. I really do.
But
All right.
it's like stadium plans in Las Vegas. You just wad them up and throw them away.
Yeah.
It's worthless.
I got a tinfoil hat, but Vince, give us the scores of the week so I can wear my tinfoil hat.
So before the embarrassment, they get a win at Washington, they get a win at the Knicks, and they get a win at Toronto. I mean, they're cruising. They still kind of are cruising 3-1 over the week. And if you tell me, Warriors go on this road trip, go 3-1, and as you feel real good about it. Of course, the one loss was the last game before we start talking, so that's the one we're going to focus on. And it was a 52-point shellacking. I think the game plan against Brown did not work. The one they instituted last
the 15-minute one. Yeah,
I want to hear this tinfoil theory.
So I fully believe. Okay, look. Obviously, the commissioners come down and say, "Hey, look, you're not allowed to rest players whenever you feel like it, right?" Mm-hmm. Fair enough. People pay good money. They want to see the best players available. Okay, fair. I get that, right? You do 4 games, right? In 5 nights, right? So 4 cities in 5 nights.
Yeah.
Granted, the New York and Toronto one was a pain because not only was it a back-to-back, they got off late, and you also had to deal with going across border lines, right? So that takes even longer. They didn't get till 7 a.m., right?
Yeah, that plane was delayed. Like there was something they had to fix some maintenance on the plane as well too. So it was just it was delayed on top of delay.
I just read the article and it was the plane had no phalanges. There was no phalanges.
No phalanges.
But so that being the case, right? Now you got to go play Boston, who's had rest, right? Got to play home. Totally fine, right? I think that this was kind of a middle finger to either the people who do the schedule or the commissioner of, this is ridiculous, dude. You made us play 4 games, right, in 5 nights with terrible scheduling, and you want us to just come out here and be like, give it your all against Boston, number 1 team in the league. Nah, dude, forget that. That plan was devised 15 minutes to be like, hey, if it blows out, at least it looks like we, tried, and then I'll just rest on you guys. Did you see anyone on the bench in the second half? That bench was emptier than a exhibition game. There was nobody there. They were probably already on the plane going back to San Francisco.
Emptier than a bag of Oreos in my house a day after buying them, man.
Exactly. Exactly. Gone. So my tinfoil hat to this is that this was a middle finger to the league and saying, hey, look, I know we can't rest our players. Steve Kerr found a way to rest players. Yeah, they played what? We'll call it.
They all get their 20 minutes.
15.
They need, yeah.
Each guy, I think, averaged like 11 to 14 minutes, somewhere in there.
There's for the 65 game rule, you have to play 20 minutes in 65 games, and you're allowed 2 of those games have to be at least 15 minutes. So I think everybody got their 15, and that was everybody that needs to. They got
There
their
you go.
15, and then that was it.
There you go. And look,
Okay.
Then you come home and you got 2 days of rest to take on Milwaukee. That sounds like a perfect. I mean, you took 3 on the road, which is what we wanted anyways. To be fair, right? I would take that any day of the
3
week.
out of 4, yeah.
Yeah, I would
Great
say
road trip.
I would say Boston. They knew they were going to take a shellacking and lose anyways, given their schedule. So they made sure that it looked good in the commissioner's eyes, and then they were out of there second half.
Yeah, they did the bare minimum.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
Did the bare minimum.
It makes me think of a test I took in college where the professor threw away the lowest score, and it was, like a couple weeks before the final, and I was like, you know what? I don't feel like taking this test today. And I said that out loud and handed in a blank test. So that was my one I could burn because I was that good, I had 95s the rest of the way. So, and he was going to burn the lowest score anyway. It didn't matter. That's, I see that. I see the logic. You know what? I'm going to go make my tinfoil hat because I'm on board, man.
Vince says that. And then the guy who scored a 54 out of 100 was like, damn, man, I really wish my test was the one they threw away, not the 0.
Could have really used that 54 right now.
Dude, Follow was in that class with me. You can ask him. I definitely did that, Sam.
I believe you. I believe you. If I think hard enough, I was probably around class. We were probably going to school together around the time.
Yeah.
So with this rest, I'm with you, Tyler. I'll put my tinfoil hat on too. I agree with you. Like, if you're gonna blow one, you might as well just blow it there. You're going off a win streak.
Yep.
So what does the league do?
They can't. They did it. The Warriors did it exactly by the letter of the law. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Fine me. You can't. It's perfect.
This is the loophole. This is the new loophole.
Yeah.
You sort of schedule in your own. You look at the schedule and schedule in your own L.
I will say this:
50 points. I don't like that. But
I will say this: there is no national pundit saying this, so I'm going to say with confidence, we're the first ones breaking this
news.
We're the first. I don't hear any pundits talking about
this theory.
Exactly.
I wouldn't call it news. It's not news. It is the operating theory of.
It's a newsworthy loophole that probably will be exposed and going to be talked about with Greg Popovich.
It's alternate news.
Yeah. I would say we're the first podcast to do this, and I'm going to say that with confidence because I don't hear any national pundit saying this. No Stephen A. Smith.
Gossip.
None of them saying.
They could have talked about it today because the game happened yesterday, Sunday. So if they were going to bring this idea, this was the time to do it. Was today.
Yeah.
Guys, what do you think about how do we make the sense of this Andrew Wiggins thing?
Man, I'm glad Moody's getting playtime. That's the most civil answer I could give you without, obviously we got to get Wiggins to space, but it's 2 years of this. And obviously it's a tough situation.
It's a very slippery slope, right? Like you feel for Wiggins I think a majority of people have gone through some type of mental health or emotional health crisis at some point in your life. And I think everybody has a heart for it, right? Like, man, sometimes you just think the worst or you feel a certain way, and that's sad. You feel for the man, but it's I get it's just basketball. But it's just really hard to see the team, where we're at with the team and what do you do with this contract, now you're, because it's impacting other people's careers, so it's hard I don't want to speculate on what's going on with his personal stuff. I don't know, but man, what's the other Simmons, that's
Ben
also
Simmons.
He's going through something and then it's his back and we may never ever see him again. And it's you're trying to be sensitive to what's happening to the individual, but these contracts are also could jeopardize a franchise and teammates' careers. So I agree with you. I'm glad the young guys are playing, but it's kind of hard to imagine Wiggins coming back and then like, okay, I could start again. Like, well, the young guys are the ones that just spent this season rebuilding this culture and putting a winning team back on the court. Like, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think Moody is how do I put it? I think Moody is the Buster Posey of this team. That's the best way I can put that. He is an old soul in a young man's body, and he could have pouted. He could have been like Kaminga in January and be like, "Hey, man, like this is my third year. I've put in my dues. I've got my zebra stripes. Like why don't I get playtime? I mean, Wiggins just came back from not playing for almost 5 months, and he gets to start the season. Why not me? I was beneficial in the playoffs against Denver. But he didn't say that.
Yeah.
So he just comes in professional, says, when it's my time, it's my time. I'm ready to go. Whenever the team needs me, I'm ready to go. So I think going forward, I think Moody is your guy. Like I think you're going to try and move Wiggins this offseason, not because maybe you necessarily want to, but because I think Moody's earned that contract and that deal to be like, hey, look, it's time to move on. It's time to look at our other options and look for the
And
team
it'll
in the
save
future.
money too on the
Yeah,
other side too. Yeah.
absolutely. And Wiggins
I
will
mean,
have
even
2 years
giving an
left.
extension to Moody is going to be cheaper than what Wiggins is currently commanding.
Yeah, exactly.
Because this season has become all about the youngsters. I mean, you got, Podzimski, he's a rookie that fits like a glove on this team.
Yeah.
He's probably the third best rookie of this year behind Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren. I think he's probably number
right.
3. He's right
like
there.
he's right there as far as like what he's doing. So it's become a youth movement. Unfortunately, we're seeing Clay like really regress and in age and those injuries and things, but it seems like he might be able to extend his career a little bit longer coming off the bench or lowering his minutes, let's say.
Well, they had a great stat. I mean, he's coming off that bench and he's playing, 3 to 4 minutes less, but his averages are higher than when he was a starter. So yeah, you're right.
It's letting him be more fresh. It's letting him be more efficient too. And
yeah.
And he's like, I forget which game it was earlier this week, but he just went absolutely nuclear. Like, what was it, like 23 points in the first half?
Yeah.
And yeah, was that the Knicks game? Maybe maybe it was
no.
Washington.
It was the Washington game.
It was
He went
Washington
off.
game. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he's able to do that now because they're like he's got bad legs at this point. And he's able to be a little bit more fresh and he can attack and he's going against guys that aren't as good as him. Also, let's talk about that part.
Exactly.
He's able to just torch guys. Him on the second unit is way better than a lot of other guys on the second unit on any other team. So
even defensively, he's smart enough. He's smart enough defensively to outsmart some bench players that he's going up against.
Yeah, it makes me think of what Andre Iguodala did when he came over here and started playing off of the bench and accepting that role and embracing it.
Yeah,
and
the Sunday night game obviously was nationally televised, and they had Richard Jefferson as one of the voiceovers for the broadcast.
Our old friend.
Yeah, but he made a good point too. And I'm not really a big national televised kind of game kind of guy. I like my local guys, even though some of them are homers. But I love that. I love that more than probably what I get from the Van Gundy.
I love my homers.
Yeah,
love my homers.
More than Van Gundy. But Richard Jefferson made a good point. I mean, our bench is Klay Thompson and Chris Paul. That's wild, right?
Two Hall of Famers on your bench.
But the point he made, which was great, was that if this team wants to go further and eventually maybe get through the play-in and maybe potentially get through the first round, you're going to need like 13, 14 points on average from Chris Paul. Like you're just going to have to. He's playing secondary people. I know Chris Paul is a facilitator. He's, one of the best passers of all time. But as that second unit, like, yeah, Klay, you want to get him going, but you also need to be more aggressive and get points too. Like if you can get 13, 12, 13, 14 points out of Chris Paul on your second unit, that changes, that opens up a lot and takes a lot of stress off of the starters as well.
Hell, just give me double digits. I
Give me
don't
some,
like
yeah.
just give me 10. Like
Yeah.
I don't need
Yeah.
13 necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of his shots are very long. So, again, he came off of that wrist injury and everyone was like, wow, he's really good. He's shooting the three really well. But I mean, he was only averaging like 9 points, but his assists are great. So you can mask being coming off an injury and being rusty because you just throw it to somebody else and let them deal with it, right? So I think his points will come, but it does need to be a point of emphasis going further into the season if you want to move on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know they got shellacked against Boston, but it overall is a good road trip, bringing them 32 and 28, ninth in the West. They're in striking distance to move up. Upcoming Wednesday night versus Milwaukee, Thursday versus Chicago, and Saturday versus the San Antonio Spurs. I mean, honestly, you put your best out there, you could go 3-0. Like
You
that's
can.
that's 3 games that you can win. Like Milwaukee's not the same team.
Right.
Chicago's not very good. Other than, the young players on the Spurs, they're not a good team.
Yeah, their bench play isn't great. Obviously, Wemby is a freak of nature, and
yeah. If you get that win against the Bucks, then you should go 3-0. Like
Yeah.
I demand 2-1 because you better beat the Bulls and you better beat the Spurs because both of those teams are not very good, like you said.
Yeah.
But like the Bucks is a winnable game. I'm not going to say that they're definitely going to, but that's a game that you can
get that game.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
One thing to note too, that Bucks game is going to be nationally televised again. But our old friend Bob Myers will be doing the commentary for that one. So
nice.
Keep an eye out for that one. So I think it's his first one he's done, and it's back in good old Golden State. So I wonder if they'll do a tribute video of him. Have you ever heard of a GM getting a tribute video? That'd be a first. Yeah, he's deserved it. Yeah, he's deserved
Where's
it.
his statue? It's him behind the desk.
Yeah.
On the phone.
Exactly.
For sure. All right, guys. Any Warriors final notes?
No, let's move on to the league at large, I guess. Russell Westbrook fractured his left hand. He will be out for most of March. They're going to check back in a couple more weeks. We're getting close to playoff time, and it's a tough time to lose him. He's obviously huge coming off of the Clippers bench right now.
Yeah,
how it goes.
Much like Clay, he comes off the bench, but Russell asked to come off the bench because he felt that it was better for the team, and by golly, he was right.
Yeah, it certainly solved a lot of their problems. That the Clippers are currently in fourth, by the way. They're 2.5 games out of the top spot, held currently by the Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
You have a note on the Thunder actually right now.
Yeah.
It's just kind of fun that they're the 1 seed, but they also have 2 lottery picks possibly.
Yeah, they have like 27 draft picks for the next like 5 years, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, man, can they get any richer? Like they're fighting for the number 1 seed with the Timberwolves and the Nuggets, right? They're all arguably tied at 42 wins for the most part, maybe separated by a half game here or there. But they also have conditional rights to the Rockets pick, a top 4 protected, which they're currently sitting at 12th. And then they also have conditional rights to the Jazz picks, top 10 protected, and they're sitting at 11. So, as long as those guys stay out of the top 5 or top 10, you're going to get another top pick out of this. It's crazy that they're going to have more picks on top of already being a really well-rounded team.
Can you imagine they end up with the number 5 and the number 11?
That would be insane.
And
yeah,
that's the kind of pick where you could combine those
and move
up to the number 1 or the number 2.
Yeah,
and they could reload from there as well. And they're already the 1 seed. That's wild. That is completely bonkers.
Whoever's GMing for them, and I don't know, but hell of a job, man. Hell of a job. We all thought you were lunatics and crazy for all these draft picks, but damn, I'll insert foot into your mouth.
I mean, look at the Pistons. Remember, they traded everything and got a whole, and it looks like they got all of their draft picks wrong, all of their trades wrong,
and they really wanted Wiseman at the number 3 pick, I think it was, or 4th pick. They got
him and their other guy.
Well, here's the crazy part: is the 4th pick, right? That they picked, they just released him this year. He's not even on the team anymore, and now they got Wiseman, and he's DNPs.
I know, man. I mean, that's just like the OKC. This 100% worked out, and Detroit did not. I think the OKC side, like to me is if you're the GM and none of these players wanted to stick around and now you're just like, I need as many first round draft picks to hopefully put a combination together
Yeah.
and steal one.
You throw shit on the wall.
Yeah, I was
gonna
gonna say this is the literal throw shit on the wall.
Yeah.
And
so
you know
I
what?
just
They're
want
going
to
to be
check.
a problem. They're going to be a problem for like 3-5 years because they got so much draft capital.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you have that much draft capital, you got plenty of cap room.
And
too,
then
because rookies don't make a lot of money
if
comparatively,
2 or 3 of these guys do turn out to be a big 3, like special Hall of Famers, then you're talking the next 10, 12, 13 year, runs.
totally. Yeah, I mean, just looking at the standings right now, I mean, in the West, the top 10 teams, so like 1 through 6 is guaranteed a playoff spot. 7 through 10 have the play-in tournament. 11 through 15, nobody's really catching anybody. The Jazz are 5.5 back of the Lakers. Jazz are in 11th. The Lakers are in 10th. Warriors are also in they're in 9th right now. So I mean, at this point, unless something really weird happens, we already know who the teams are going to be in the West. It's just a matter of where they finish position wise at this point. So that's kind of interesting. You can at least, I don't know, like shrink down what you have to study for come playoff time already at this point.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about the Grizzlies or the Rockets. You may have the Jazz may be able to sneak in if something really weird happens to somebody up here, but I don't think so. I don't think that'll happen.
I don't think so, but I mean, let's just lock it in. They're going to get that Rockets pick, a top 4. I mean, the Rockets are not going to be a top 4 team, top 5 team. So let's lock that in.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's done. The Jazz,
that's going to be borderline. They're 27 and 34. So right now they're probably sitting right around the 10 spot.
Yeah.
Give or take. They're right there. That's very borderline. That pick may get deferred, like to whatever the alternate compensation is for being top 10. That could very well happen.
Next year, so let's say the Rockets end up they don't have to give up their first round pick. Does it become like a top 5 protected, or
it's a conditional of also the lottery too. So it could very well be a top 5 pick next year. I mean, given the fact that they're 4 away from being the worst team in the West. Yeah, definitely, for sure. It's probably gonna be a top 5 pick. That's what I would assume going into next year. But it does also reside on or bet on the lottery pick too. So
because at some point it's like, man, you agreed to give up a first rounder for whatever trade. Like,
yeah,
you can't keep kicking it down the line, right? At some point, the Rockets got to give up a pick.
Well, if let's say the Rockets win the lottery and they become the number 1 pick, then they don't have a top 5 protected next year. If that makes sense, right? They may have a top 10 if they're a terrible team next year, but they won't have a top 5 pick if they become the number 1 pick.
Okay, that's enough Oklahoma City lottery talk. I think that's it.
That's it.
That's what we come for. I'm putting my foot down. God damn it. We're moving on. Scotty Barnes also fractured his hand against the Warriors. He's out indefinitely. We'll see how that goes.
Yep, pending surgery now. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And then just one more note: Caitlin Clark breaks the NCAA scoring record, men and women. She passed Pistol Pete Maravich. That's
Pistol Pete.
Yep. Old LSU great, and then obviously NBA great as well. Yeah. So congrats, Caitlin Clark. She's already declared for the WNBA draft once the season is done at Iowa. And Indiana Fever have that first overall pick, and their ticket prices are already through the roof because they know what's coming. It's pretty exciting.
Their ticket prices are already through the roof?
Yeah, they've more than doubled because they know Caitlin Clark is coming to Indiana.
At least she doesn't have to move far, right? Iowa to Indiana, right? She doesn't have to go super far.
Yeah, it's a flyover state. You know, they're all it's all in the middle there. Yeah.
Damn. Can you imagine? Man, we're gonna see Indiana, New York, Vegas, all fighting each other to probably, like, I guarantee you, Caitlin Clark is good enough that this team will definitely make the playoff next year. I don't give a crap what the roster is. I think she's good enough to give you at least 20 to 30 points a night. Done. Calling it.
Yeah, no, that's an easy bet.
She's probably gonna ball.
She's a
out,
game
right?
breaker. She's like we're gonna see highlights on her every other day. Every time there's an Indiana Fever game, we're gonna see highlights. Caitlin Clark doing something absolutely cuckoo bananas. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Especially if Indiana goes against New York Liberty, you get to see those two shooters going at each other. Oof, Sabrina and her.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Absolutely,
I'll watch that top 10.
You know what else is going cuckoo bananas? Sharks fans.
Yeah.
Vince. Holy crap.
The game I go to was an embarrassment. It was so bad. They played like shit. It was terrible. They lose 7-2 to the New Jersey Devils. I was there in person. We still had some fun with it. At the end of the game, toward the end, we started chanting, "We want tacos," because if the Sharks get 4 goals, everybody in the arena gets tacos. And then we started yelling at like the Devils goalie, "Hey, you should have let us get tacos," stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just chirping from the second deck. And by that point at the end, like it was actually kind of close in the first. Like they were actually up 1-0 in the first. And then in the second, New Jersey took the lead, but it was still within striking distance. I think it was like 3-1. And then the bottom fell out of it in the third period.
Yeah.
By the end, like the fans started clearing out halfway through the third. Like once the goal avalanche started falling, it was bad, and you could actually hear me chirping. Like I got a nice little echo in the stadium, in the arena. I heard it.
The same thing happened against Anaheim the next day. Like it was a close game, and then that third period came, and the avalanche came out, and it was just like, oh my god.
Yeah, the bottom fell out. So they get the L versus Anaheim. So nobody was correct on the win of the week.
Yeah.
There was no win this week. There was a shootout loss. So somebody could have had a half a point if they chose Dallas, but that didn't happen. So
I was actually at the Pliny the Younger, the Sharks the Younger game at Dallas. I was at the Barracuda game when they were playing against Dallas. And guess what? Barracudas lost in a shootout.
Son of a bitch.
So couldn't win any way around it.
Well, right now they're 15 wins, 39 losses, and 6 overtime losses. That is dead last in the Pacific Division and 15th in the West. They have a 1-point edge over Chicago. Connor Bedard is back, so I expect that edge will disappear and the Sharks will be dead last sometime very soon. Upcoming games. So they have Tuesday. They're going to run it back. All these games are actually at home at the Tank. So Tuesday, they're going to run it back against Dallas. Thursday, they have the New York Islanders. And then Saturday, they have the Ottawa Senators. That's my win of the week pick right there.
I'm taking Dallas. I feel like they had it with Dallas. They were down by 1 goal. And they just, they gave up that goal in the third period to start it off. And it just kind of set the tone. But I think they got Dallas's number.
Okay, Sam. So you got the Dallas Stars, the New York Islanders, the Ottawa Senators.
Well, Ottawa's not that good, right?
They are not. That's why I picked it. That's why I jumped on that first.
I'm taking Ottawa.
All right. Me and Sam are going to try to close the gap on Tyler. All right. I've got that locked in. We're ready to roll. And the trade deadline is coming up real soon. And if there's any major moves for the Sharks, we'll update you next week. But
who are you thinking? Do you think Logan?
Duclair. I think it's Duclair.
Yeah, Duclair makes the most
Logan's
sense.
Injured. He's not.
Oh, that's
he's not
right. You can't trade him because
Logan's
he's injured. That's right.
Tomas Hertl probably wasn't getting traded, but he's also injured right now. And that's part of the reason why goals are so hard to come by.
Yeah, especially when you lose those two guys. Yeah. Although, I mean, we'll argue Logan's had kind of a down season, but he's been injured like all season. So
Logan's missed all but like 6 games.
Yeah.
He missed the first like 43 games. He comes back, plays about 6 or 7 games, and then he's right back to the injured list. And that was so far that's the end of the season.
Speaking of injured, because we were at the game, at the Barracudas game, Lisa got to watch her first blood cleanup on the ice. I don't remember who it was exactly, and forgive me for not knowing, but definitely got to watch a Barracudas player eat a hockey puck straight to the schnauzer.
A couple of chiclets, huh?
Yeah, it was like all in the nose. Oh, okay. Immediately threw the helmet down, skated off, and then she goes, "What happens?" I go, "Well, now they bring out the ice scraper to scrape up all that blood." So,
bring on but the jerseys look good. The jerseys look good.
Yeah,
right?
the jerseys were fun.
Yeah.
It was their Mexican Heritage Night, so they had these really cool Tigres del Mar was their jersey, which means the Tigers of the Sea for Barracudas. So it was a very
Did you get
fun
one?
jersey. No, I thought about it, but it was like $100 for the jersey, and I was like, how weird would it be that I don't own a Sharks jersey and the first jersey I buy is a Mexican Heritage Nights Barracuda jersey?
I'm telling you, buy those buy the new Cali Thin jerseys that the Sharks have. Because
Yeah,
those things are fucking clean.
I think I might. I think I
Mine
might turn around.
arrived. It's a little snug, so I didn't wear it to the game. So I gotta drop a couple LBs. So eat
Yeah.
a few less Oreos. There's your callback.
Yeah, I think I buy one of those. Those jerseys look pretty fire. I just don't know
So
whose I'm
cool.
gonna buy. I
Get a
think I'm
blank
kind
one. Fuck it. Get a blank
Yeah,
one.
I know, but
Get
like
a
they're not.
retro
It saves you about $50 if you buy one without a name on it.
That's true, but then I don't feel like the Sharks are like the A's, where like I feel like if
I
that
feel
player's
you on
Oh
that,
no,
retired-
you
dude.
could, yeah, that part. You can like get Tomas Hurdle. He's still
Yeah.
going to be around for a couple more
Yeah.
years at least. So
yeah.
They
I don't know if I
nobody's
wanted to
gonna
wait for the young
They
guns.
can't
though.
trade him.
well, the contract's so big, they're not going to trade him. Nobody's going to take it on.
But I also might want to wait for those young kids too. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
It may go into next year, but we'll see.
I mean, I feel like these are maybe the cleanest black jerseys that the Sharks have had. Like, this might be the best version of it.
Hop online and order one right now.
Even more than the black and orange one back in the day, like the mid 2000 ones.
I'm here's my hot take. This is the best black jersey that the Sharks have ever had. Like when you look at it up close, like you see the extra details and like the jaw that's in the neckline and just all the extra details, the crest on the center. Like I love that shark fin logo. I love that as an alternate logo. Obviously the shark head is top notch, unbeaten, best logo in hockey. But like if you're looking at everybody's secondary logo, their secondary one, that's top tier as well. That's the hat I have is the shark fin hat as well. So it is so cool. You know, I'll even bring my jersey over so you can see and inspect it personally, and then you can make your decision if you need more convincing.
Man, even Sam had that cool jersey that he wore like 2 weeks ago. The one that had like the Warriors on. Damn, man, I need to get one. I gotta get one.
Yeah, that was a giveaway. The Warriors Sharks crossover night.
All right.
Just make sure if you guys buy a jersey, it's not from Fanatics.
Yeah, for real.
Tougher and tougher.
Like just real quick, I know it's not on the docket, but like the guy who runs Fanatics, he owned a sports team and he was like complaining about our asses are getting dragged through the mud because of Nike. Man, Fanatics sucked and has been sucking. The crap t-shirts that they sell, the merch that they're sell off center. Is shameful.
The logos are off center.
It's
like I have a Sharks t-shirt and just it's off center.
Yeah,
from Fanatics. Like it doesn't line up where it's supposed to line up. And I'm not that weirdly shapen, It's on Fanatics. It's not me. I'm proportional, goddammit.
Wow. I'm probably gonna buy one. Let's be honest.
I do want one.
Cool.
Probably gonna buy one here. Yeah,
Vince, I sent you a link. That's the black one you're talking about?
I'm loading it up right now. Yep, that's the one.
That's the one. Yeah, that's a clean ass jersey.
Man. It is one of those. It is super fucking clean. Yeah.
And we're not sponsored, but free shipping on all orders, $24 off using code NHL24FS. If you want to sponsor us, official shop of NHL, let us know.
You want to sponsor San Jose Sharks?
That's
or
right.
Barracuda
or Oreos.
Let me get that black Oreo jersey too.
Yeah,
absolutely. All right, guys. Leaving the hockey rink and heading over to the pitch.
Yes, sir. Okay, so I'm not gonna say I wasn't, because the last 2.5, maybe 3 weeks here, I was really kind of down on Wrexham, man. They were losing some games, giving up some points, and I would say even last Tuesday I was down on them. They went a decision here with Forest Green, one of the worst teams in the EFL2 here. They went 1-1. And then Saturday, Paul Mullen woke up. They got the W against Agerton Stanley 4-0. Paul Mullen with the Hattie here. They are currently 18, 9 and 8. Last week they were fourth. They're now in third. And to make you give some hopium here, they're tied for second at 63 points. They are 3 points away from first. So here I was being down for the last 2.5 weeks, and I really shouldn't have because, boy, does a week make a difference.
Absolutely.
This team is ready.
Yeah, man.
So if the season ends today, they get promoted, right?
They get promoted. Yes.
And they get promoted to League One.
Correct.
Yeah, so that would be your third tier of soccer.
Right. And that you guys expect that's kind of where they can top
I
out
think
right
so
now.
right now. Yeah, I think that talent-wise, they're probably a mid-third tier soccer team.
You guys think they're going to be bouncing between tier League 1 and 2? They're going to be kind of
No, I think they're good enough to stick around in League 1, but they're not good enough to advance past League 1, not until they start making some more signings and then finish building the cop out and
because the next league is the Champions and Premier.
Correct.
Yeah, the only two leagues after League 1 are Championship and Premier. So
I think they make a good bid to get to a playoff spot in League 1, but I think they fall a little short. I think they're just going to be kind of a middle ground team until, like Vince says, until they can acquire bigger and better talent out there.
I was actually looking at the Championship, the teams in the Championship, and every single one of them has been at the Premier League at some point in the last 20 years. Like they are all like, teams that have experience up at the highest level. And,
yeah.
I mean, they ended up getting demoted down. They got relegated, but I mean, they still have like at least some like experience at that level. So if you're a League 1 team going into the Championship, that's huge. Like you're playing against a lot of really good teams at that point. And so even the worst of those teams are still like pretty good. I remember Queen's Park Rangers getting 2 goals in stoppage time to ruin Manchester United's bid for the championship, like 12 years ago or whenever the hell it was. And right now they're like in 20th in the championship. Like these are teams that they may fall down a bit, but they're still quality.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be a long road. I think everyone was kind of like, oh man, Wrexham was just running through these leagues, and I think you're really going to start to hit your wall going into next season if they can get promoted.
Yeah, the documentary is going to get real interesting for next season.
Yeah, and
there's going to be a lot more losses.
I also think too that we were really big fans of Paul Mullen, but you're really going to start to notice that talent level of like, oh, these guys are like really good. Like Paul Mullen was good, but these guys are like a step above that, right? It's like that these guys are like good players, but they're only double A. You know what I mean?
I think Paul Mullen belongs in League 3, in League 1, like in the third tier.
Yeah,
that's his talent level. He's going to have a lot of peers at his level, like a lot of quality scorers, and every team has a couple of Paul Mullins on them on that team at that level. So
yep,
it's going to start evening out a lot, and they're going to start losing a lot more matches starting next year after they get promoted.
Yeah, absolutely. San Jose Earthquakes.
They lose 3-1 versus the LA Galaxy, and it was not that close. They do not have a win on the season. They are dead last in the West, 14th place. And they are coming up this Saturday at home against Vancouver Whitecaps. And those are 2 original teams from the 70s in the NASL, the North American Soccer League, excuse me, or whatever it was in the 70s. So it's going to be an old school matchup. The Quakes are rocking some their kits this year are inspired by the teams from the 70s, the Earthquake teams from way back then.
Nice.
And the Earthquakes, talking about jerseys and stuff earlier, the Earthquakes have like a really clean jersey, I think. And I can't buy their crap because John Fisher sucks and refuses to invest in this team. So like, I hate to pull that string early, but it just sets me off.
To that point, the San Jose Earthquakes were in talks with 2 different players, one being from a Mexican league here, and both of them fell short because money didn't match and contracts
wanna
didn't
pay.
match.
Didn't
Don't
wanna
wanna
pay.
pay.
So tell me if you heard that one before.
Sell the team. Sell this team too, man. Like, God. I
Yeah.
can't even be a diehard fan and throw my money at it because I'm so bitter about this asshole owning this team.
I do
That's
want to
enough
point because
earthquakes talk.
I do want to point on here too that is it Bay United Bay what's the women's team?
Bay FC.
Bay FC will be playing the end of March. I'll have to get the date. I want to say it's the 28th.
30th.
30th. Okay.
It's the 30th.
At the Earthquake Stadium. So just I'm assuming money still goes to John Fisher, but if you buy
he's not the owner of Bay FC.
No, but I'm talking about playing in their stadium.
Yeah, he might get a cut
like concessions,
of some kind.
yeah.
I don't know what exactly he'll get. That doesn't bother me.
Yeah. But go support the women's team though.
Yeah, go support the women's team, please
because
do.
Because the team itself is not owned by John Fisher.
Right, exactly. We have 4 former US women's national team legends that own the team, including Brandy Chastain, who of course in the 1999 World Cup, she was the one that scored the final penalty kick and ripped her shirt off. She's the one doing like the fists up with her sports bra out and sliding and like a superhero. That image, like that's her. That's her. She's part of the ownership group along with a couple of other women's national team legends.
So go support that team. So don't support John Fisher. Speaking of shitty John Fisher here, I'm gonna rip this band-aid off. Matt Chapman comes back to the Bay. But not with
welcome
the A's.
home.
Not
kinda.
with the A's.
No, kind of. He's in the media market again. Welcome back.
Yeah, I mean, look, I may catch a Giants game here and there if it's on TV in the middle of the inning. I'm not gonna watch it from beginning to end, but Matt Chapman did agree to come back to San Francisco to partner up with his old chummy manager here, Bob Melvin. Matt Chapman signs a 3-year, $54 million with 2 years of opt-out. So he could leave next year if he wants to, but I have a feeling he's going to stay for a little longer.
Yeah, it depends. It really depends on how he plays.
Yeah.
If he thinks he can get more money, if he balls out, if he balls out, he's opting out to try to get more money.
Sure.
And God bless you. Get paid.
Yep.
I'll tell you what. It makes paying attention to the Giants a little bit easier this year with Matt Chapman and Bob Melvin there.
I agree.
Yeah, it's going to be rough.
It's also weird, like a weird, I don't know, paradox. No, what would you call it? A
paradigm, I guess.
Paradigm, yeah. It's just
not for me. I mean, honestly, this does not give me. This does not add any ounce of percentage that I'm going to watch Giants or become a Giants fan or root for the story. This does nothing. I will never watch or support anything Giants, even if they have Bob Melvin and Chapman and other former A's players. The Giants contributed to the A's exiting. Like, I'm sorry, you can't convince me that the Giants ownership group is sad that the A's are leaving.
Right.
Oh yeah, of course.
So they are the other owners that unanimously supported John Fisher on this reckless move, bullshit relocation potential to Las Vegas.
Right.
And it's because all these other shit owners are doing the same thing.
Basically what I'm saying is I'm not going to be quick to turn the channel if I happen to catch it on.
Yeah.
If I'm like at a bar or whatever, I'll check it out,
Peace.
I don't, I mean, yeah. I'm not looking to change allegiances or anything like that. That's not happening.
I see your dad in the chat.
Yeah.
Hashtag FJF.
Yeah. No. Yeah. There's probably we're talking at most, a few hundred former A's fans become Giants fans of the, of the hundreds and thousands. We're talking maybe 500 total.
For sure.
There's going to be some.
In your example of we're at a bar, makes it easy. I'll be the guy that's like, change the fucking channel. It makes me bitter. I am scorned. I'm bitter. and I'm gonna be bitter. I've been bitter on Twitter. I've been bitter every time I talk about it. Like, and that's how I feel. That's how I think. Like, this
absolutely
is not going to make me a Giants fan. Of anything, it makes me hate the Giants, not the players, not the coaches, not the fans. It makes me more enraged against the ownership and baseball as a whole.
right.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, well, I mean, we can get into a bigger conversation about all this, you know, at some other point if we want to, and obviously we will. Like, this is directly affecting us. This is directly affecting our fandom and
absolutely,
frankly, our extracurricular, anything outside of work. The amount of games that we've gone to, you know, as adults, like I've dropped tens of thousands of like a couple, like maybe $20,000. I don't know how much, but I've dropped a lot of money into going to A's games over the last 20 years, 30 years, whatever it is. But yeah, it's going to be rough, and it's going to be more money to spend elsewhere. And there goes my phone where I could see the chat. Okay.
yeah, I've spent thousands as well. You know, I think we all have on tickets, merch,
right.
traveling.
I mean, I
buying
had
memorabilia, cards.
Yeah, the
just all of
former season ticket holder here, you know, and
yeah.
How many, like, I easily went to 30 games a year for 15 years or whatever the hell it was.
Pops is on here saying that Brandon Crawford said that the main reason he still isn't a Giant was one person in the front office. He's alluding to Farhad Zaini. I would actually argue that I would say that Brandon Crawford, I mean, he's definitely served his time with the Giants, but at what value was he going to give to a team that's probably in the middle of rebuilding? Outside of being a voice in the locker room, but his bat wasn't there. Defensively, they had to move him to second base. Like, I think the Giants have kind of solidified what they have with their young kid over there for shortstop. So I just don't think that Brandon Crawford fit the needs of the Giants going forward. Not to say that he's going to be a legendary Giant, because he will be a legendary Giant. I just think
he's going to get he's going to get a little plaque on the wall.
Yeah, for sure. So
yeah, okay. So Matt Chapman, that's done. Josh Donaldson, another former A, he's retiring after 13 seasons. He's, you know, it was kind of rough at the beginning of his career, but he finally was able to break through at the end of 2012. And when Brandon Inge got that injury, and then the team just took off, was in the middle of taking off, and he just rode the wave along with them and became a huge reason why they were able to steal that division on the last day. And he was also on those Toronto Blue Jays teams. He won an MVP. You know, when Joey Batista had the bat flip from hell, he set that thing flying. He was on the team, on those teams with him. So, you know, he's a pretty good offensive contributor for a while there. The injuries kind of took him out in the last couple of years, especially. It wasn't there anymore. So he's calling it quits.
Well, let's also give Josh Johnson a shout out, because he was one of the first people to call out this ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even when he was playing
way
for
back.
us, he called them
Absolutely.
out. So shout out to Josh Donaldson. Always a true A in our hearts. So bringer of rain. So hopefully bringer of fun times in retirement for you. The Oakland Ballers have released their new jerseys. These weren't even available to look at the Fan Fest. So
have you guys seen these?
Yeah, they're very cool. I like these a lot. I don't know if we can post a picture, but we'll see if we can post one on our when we do the recap for tomorrow and whatnot. But
my
these jerseys are great.
My dad said that Brandon Inge was the best 200 hitter he's ever seen, and there's some truth to that, to be sure. You know, and we're actually looking at these Ballers jerseys now.
I'm really digging those white ones, man. I really am.
Yeah, that's a good look at it. It looks a lot better than the drawing. You know, I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
I like the white.
Yeah,
I like the white.
It's a little off white. I like it. It's like a cream color almost. Here's your away, I guess, right?
It has that darker green, like the
the B
used to
and
wear in the early 2000s, like the Miguel Tejada years.
Yeah, the B and the S, it almost looks like there's like a bridge or something. Like it looks like structures or something is building, like, or
and this
same here with the Oakland.
This is
This
their
is a
alternate
pullover.
jersey. This is their alternate jersey.
The pullover.
Mm-hmm. I like those too, man. I probably will get the white one. I'm a sucker
I'm
for a
You know
thinking
white
what?
about it
jersey.
too.
They're only $90 also. Like these are a reasonable price point.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, for sure.
that's doable for a lot of fans. If you're a former season ticket holder for the A's, and now that you're not spending money on the A's, maybe
And
you
you know
slide over
what?
to some independent baseball, get a
And you know
jersey for half the
what's great
price.
too is, did you guys see the renderings for the ballpark that they want to renovate?
Yep. Yep.
I used to work around the corner from there, and it was literally across the street from my job, so I was able to walk around that park. So on my lunch breaks, I would walk around that park um, at least 2 or 3 times a week. Take my lunch break, go for a walk, get outside, especially on the nice summer days, and to see that park get new life. And there's a fairly new housing development that happened there a couple years ago. There's tons of families that live there, and what they pledge to the city of Oakland. I mean, essentially they had to fill out all the paperwork, and it was like they were gifting the renovations. They had to declare that it was a gift to the community. So for the city to accept this gift, there was like proper paperwork needed to be done. But other than the dates that the Ballers are using to play their games, you're going to have little league games there. You're having high school games there. There's a technology. So if you're a high school kid, you can see how hard you throw, see how hard you hit. So there's going to be all these advanced stats, so to help kids get recruited, get into colleges, get into the minor leagues, things like that. Um, it's just an amazing thing that they're doing, not just to put baseball out there, but to be a part of the community and to offer something to the community. Something that John Fisher and the A's need to take note of, no matter what community you're in, is that fandom is not fandom is earned, and you need to participate within the community. We don't owe you anything.
Yep.
We don't have to buy your product. We don't have to buy baseball product. Like, you have to earn it. And right now, the quality of baseball is down. The quality of the sport is down. The quality of the product that you put the players in, how you treat fans, it's down. It's a bad product, and I'm frankly really not supporting MLB. I'm gladly going to give up a lot of money to the Ballers because they want to be in this community. And in their first year, they're pledging over $1 million to the community to get this stadium ready to go for their first season. I mean, it's amazing.
A prime example of that is Wrexham, right? That's a good example. You had two
Absolutely.
Hollywood owners that town was like, who the hell are you? Like, yeah, you're Hollywood, but what are you gonna do to make my team better? And the first thing they did was they went out to the community, they met everyone, and they made sure they stand on what they talked about. Like, we're here to pledge back to the community, and they've done an excellent job, and that's why that team is beloved over there.
And
And
they're
what's crazy is it's not just the Oakland Ballers. There's the Sacramento club that they also own, that they're also doing this in Sacramento. I don't know as much about what's going on in the Sacramento. I've been so into the Ballers, but they started another
Pioneer.
team in the Pioneer League for the Sacramento area. So they're committed to the Bay Area. They're committed to Sacramento. They're committed to where these teams play in their communities, and that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it.
Yeah, this is great, and it goes to show you these are all things that the A's could have done in the community to build.
Can you imagine,
like, if they had dropped if they had dropped $1 million to help renovate some some parks and stuff like that, how much goodwill that would have gone.
Exactly.
How many how many kids would be excited to go to a baseball game at a crappy little old ballpark? I mean, it's more than just throwing some AstroTurf down and putting an elephant statue up in fucking right field, man.
You would think that, like, if you really wanted the city of Oakland to give you a bunch of money and the citizens to take your side, you would think as a big business, you would say, all right, let's go get a little park. Let's sponsor a little park and throw $3 million at it and put all these community benefits in it for $3 million to generate good publicity. I mean, you could have did that last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago.
Hell, 3 million. You could have done that to like 5 or 6 parks, and not to the extent that the
that's what I'm
ballers are
saying.
doing.
And you could have did all that, and then now you build equity with the fans that you truly want to be in this community. Instead, you're just looking for a handout. I mean, the A's have done one charity event in Las Vegas, and it was a photo op. They generated almost nothing. Like, it was a photo op of Cavill and these other schmucks trying to steal their money. You know, it's ridiculous. The A's, John Fisher, Dave Cavill, they're all slimy people that can't get anything done. So it's so maddening.
Yeah, of course. So, all right, guys, let's switch gears here. Let's jump into the NFL. There is still some news. I know that the big game has ended a long time ago here, but the Chiefs are releasing MVC, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, saving
MVS for those of you who like initials.
Yes. So saving 12 million in the cap space here. Eagles are also releasing the safety that they acquired last season in Kevin Byard and saving 15 million in the cap space there. I'm not sure on the cap space in this one, but the Vikings are cutting Alexander Madison. I'm sure it's a cap space thing, but we can no longer
no,
say
he played like shit, so they're cutting him.
Yeah, they can no longer say Addison Madison. So that's out. Also, too, since we're talking about releasing here, Denver is releasing Russell Wilson here.
That news broke. That's going to be like an $85 million cap hit or something like that.
Don't do it, Raiders. Don't do it.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, I feel like he's heading for like Atlanta or
that's what I said.
Or somewhere,
God forbid,
like
Tennessee. You know, I know Tennessee's got a top 3 pick or top 4 pick, but still, you know,
well, they're not burning on a quarterback. They like at the moment. Will Levis at least flashed a little bit, so they're going to probably give him another chance. Ryan Tannehill's out of a job there, so they're not going to hand it over to Russ.
I think Mayo's got the starting job for next year, but you know, we'll see. So, but I do have a friend that's a Raiders fan, and he was like saying, and he was dead serious, I want Russell Wilson. I was like, that's terrible. Like, you're going to draft arguably get the kid's name, but you're going to draft a quarterback here. It's probably going to be your franchise quarterback for the next like at least 6-7 years, you know, give or take.
That's what you hope.
It's what you hope, right? Don't put Russell Wilson in that. He's a toxic cancer for the locker room. That's the worst thing you could do. Don't do that.
I think whatever character or vibe or personality, identity that you created at the end of last season with Antonio Pierce and rolling into this season, it will not work. I just don't think he's a Raider type of player. I do think there's players that kind of fit a mold, and the head coach, you hired the head coach because he's the personification of a Raider. We're going to play defense. We're going to run the ball. We want to get the ball down the field. We want to play smash mouth. This dude I'm not saying he's a bad football player. I think his best football is behind him. So there's that. But I just think the celebrity treatment that he wants, all that shit is not going to work for this team. And it's the worst location for him to be in. Like in Las Vegas, he's going to want to be nothing but a celebrity. He's going to want to be on every commercial and every poster and all of these things. It's the worst thing you can do for this team. Like, just spend the equity, blow your capital, go get a young quarterback. If you're going to do it.
The young quarterback I was thinking was Jalen Daniels.
Absolutely.
That was the quarterback I was thinking.
That's the one. That's the one you want. I mean, and he played at Arizona State.
Yeah, so that's probably going to be your. I'm going to say probable because the NFL is a different beast here, but your probable end of your franchise quarterback, right? Don't bring in Russ Wilson. Just don't do that. It's a bad idea. Mike Evans decided to stay in Tampa. He tested free agency for a cup of tea. He stays in Tampa for 2 years, $52 million, and then getting over to some, we'll say some off-season moves between teams in here. 49ers promote defensive pass game coordinator Nick Sorensen to the DC, and they hire Brandon Staley to a prominent role on the staff. Vince, how are you feeling about Staley coming to your team?
Well, Staley, the prominent role is going to officially be assistant head coach now. They, I put in prominent role when they didn't know what he was going to be exactly. That's since been like, he's going to be the assistant head coach. I mean, he's a smart guy. He's not like he couldn't get it to like his ideas to work as a head coach. But he got that head coaching job because he was running competent defenses, you know.
Right.
So it never hurts to have another set of eyes on the defense, especially with Kyle being such the offensive guru. I mean, it's going to be Nick Sorensen's. He's a defensive coordinator, so he'll probably end up having a lot of like pull and a lot of say and a lot of like the day to day stuff. But having a second set of eyes in there is not going to hurt at all. And as long as everybody's getting along, I'm fine with it. It's I want to see it play out before I have extra judgment. Maybe Chargers fans are laughing or something, and that's fine. He ended up sucking as a head coach, and maybe he gets another shot in a decade or so when he matures a little bit. And but for now, he's
if Josh McDaniels got a second chance,
yeah, exactly. I mean, it was about a decade, right? You know.
I do think Mike Evans going back to Tampa pretty much locks in that they're gonna work every ounce of money they can to keep Ayuk at this point, right? Because I think Mike Evans had a strong chance of being a 49er for a second, and then he quickly, nope, I'm going back to Tampa.
I never once thought for a second that Mike Evans was coming to the Niners. So I don't know.
I guarantee you a lot of 49ers fans definitely thought that. Maybe not you, Vince, but a lot of 49ers fans definitely thought that.
I'm also rooted in reality.
Some of them are rooted in reality too. Okay,
yeah,
I will admit.
I'm just saying.
Was that reality or like some wishful thinking?
It's wishful thinking.
Well, because they thought that Ayuk was going to demand a lot of money, right? So they thought, well, let's spend it on Mike Evans, right? And I was like, I mean, I guess I get it, but at the same point,
here's
at
the
same
thing,
time,
a lot
Ayuk
of times
makes more sense in this offense.
A receiver that's almost 30 years old going to a new team does not work a lot. He's better off sticking with the current team. And we see like in fantasy football, we see that happen a lot where guy gets a new contract and he goes to the new team and it just does not work. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, we just talked about him.
I'm with you on that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
totally with you on that. And there's a lot of free agents that Raider fans are wishful thinking right now. And like two players are from the Chiefs, right? Chris Jones and Snead. I actually think Chris Jones is amazing. But I'm actually I just think he's an older player, and hardly ever do older players work out as a free agent in their contract. Hardly ever. And that's why I feel like if you're going to go after a free agent, you go for a younger guy because there's upside. Where we've seen so many older free agents, especially with the Raiders, it seems like they just come and their career dies. And let's keep seeing the youth movement happen for the Raiders and better players, but I'm actually kind of nervous about free agency for older players too.
Yeah. So if you're a free agent, you're probably your best course if you're on a good team is to stay home. Stay with that team, and because they know how to use you properly. They they already have the infrastructure around you. You already have a home built up. If it's close, stay home. If if the money's way different, like you're getting, if somebody's offering you, like 5 million more a year or whatever, go take your money, go do it. But like, if it's within range, if they're within shouting distance of each other, if it's close, I think it's better just to stay put, because you're going to keep providing more value to that team, to the current team than the new one after a year or two. Yeah. Okay, so we got a sad note. Chris Mortensen, former, I guess he was the reporter for a long time for ESPN. He passed away from throat cancer at age 72. R.I.P. Chris Mortensen. And I mean, that's a guy that we've been getting reports. He's been giving us reports forever. As long as I can remember.
We grew up with Chris Mortensen giving us the breaking news,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Who's the? I'm trying to blank now. Who's the news reporter that breaks all the NFL news?
Schefter.
Yeah. So Chris Mortensen walked so Adam Schefter could run. Basically, that's how I look at that. Because
I think that's fair.
Yeah. So, R.I.P. Chris Mortensen. And you were my ESPN and my NFL news growing up as a kid here. So
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Other news here: Jason Kelce is retiring. 13 seasons, 6-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champion. I'm going to say he's a first ballot Hall of Famer because I really can't name a lot of centers outside of Jim Otto, if you're a Raiders fan, and also Jim Ringo, if you're an Eagles fan. But out of the two names I just named, only one
Such
other guy.
disrespect to Jesse Sapolu.
I was just going to say that, Vince.
Sorry.
How dare you?
I was just going to say that.
But I mean, Jim Otto.
I was going to say Jesse Sapolo has something to say about that.
Right.
Fucking flash them rings.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But Jim Otto and Jason Kelce are the only two that I can think of that. I don't know if Jesse was on the same team for his whole entire career, but Jim Otto definitely played for the Raiders for 15 seasons. Jason Kelce for 13 seasons, one team. So I don't know if Jesse did stay on one team, though. I don't think he did. But
I don't know.
I mean, I think he did. Let me just double check.
Yeah, I mean, Hall of Fame career for sure. For
49ers Kelce. The entire time, 83 to 97. Anyway.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. So three players that I can think of as the centers, top Hall of Fame. So I think Kelce's going to go down as a first ballot Hall of Famer too. So I also heard that he's probably going to go into broadcasting, which kind of seems like the right angle, seeing as how he has one of the most popular podcasts in the nation.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest here. Why is that podcast so popular right now? Though it's his brother doing a little bit of heavy lifting, bringing in the Swiftie contingent.
To be fair, though, before the Taylor Swift thing,
it was popular before. Don't get me wrong. But
yeah, before the Taylor Swift thing, they were still the #1 podcast.
No, that podcast jumped up like crazy high. Like we're talking like the listenership on that one. It's gone crazy cuckoo bananas, astronomical since the Taylor.
But I'm not going to let you slander my boys, though. They did have the #1 podcast nation before Taylor Swift. It just went to a galaxy that's never been seen before as far as levels of viewership. But
it was in the sports. It was tops in the sports category. Now it's just tops. Period.
Yeah.
We're talking last podcast on the left numbers is what they're doing now. Like that's beyond true. That. Like
yeah. That's also a really good podcast, by the way. If you haven't listened to the last podcast,
that's another story for another time. Anyway.
All right, that's all I had on my NFL news, unless you got something else to add here for me, boys.
No, we got 1 point after we're at the end of the show, but we do have a point after this week. It's been a while since we've had one, but you remember when Jimmy Butler showed up to training camp looking like emo Jimmy Butler? We finally know why, and that's because he's the lead in the Fall Out Boy music video for a song called "So Much for Stardust," and it's a pretty cool jam, pretty cool song. But it's really fun to see Jimmy Butler being in the music video for it.
Being emo Jimmy, huh?
Yeah, emo Jimmy. There was a lot of really the internet had fun. Let's put it that way. The internet had fun for a couple of days there, and now we know why.
Yeah,
there we go.
I watched the music video. It's a very interesting music video. I mean, it's a catchy song, but you watch it for yourself. You be the judge.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't seen it yet, so I'm gonna watch it right after this.
Yeah, go check it out.
It's
all right, guys.
A lot of Jimmy.
Great show.
Thank
you, Dad, for jumping in the chat.
Thanks, Pops.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. We do this every Monday night at 5:30. So
and we just hit 1,000 downloads as well.
Yeah, we hit 1,000 downloads on
we hit 1,000 downloads on the podcast version. So
on the audio.
On the audio. So listen to the audio as well, not just the YouTube.
Yeah, you can find us on Spotify. We're on pretty much every streaming network for audio for podcasts. So check us out. All the handles are the same. So with that said, everyone, thanks again for listening. You're watching the SVT podcast. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit the notification bell for alerts so you always know when we go live. Follow us on Instagram and Threads at SVT Sports Pod. Slide into our DMs, and we would love to interact with you. Have a good night, guys.
Good night.